Hi, this is Copy. I hope you are hydrated and well. And this is my journey on how I've become an educated illiterate. Quite oxymoronish, but bear with me while I try to explain how I got to this point. So, a little bit of a backstory. I was born and brought up in an education is a first family. That is, my parents would place a lot of emphasis on academics, which would also include literature. So, but they did not want me to spend time more than necessary for me to get those marks in literature. And if I had free time, they would expect me to do science or maths because clearly algebra is going to help me in communications and triangles are going to help me in relationships. Yes. And none of my family members were either into reading books, so I was not introduced to books as a kid at my home. Don't get me wrong, they used to buy me books, but they used to bring encyclopedias. I really wish I was an encyclopedia kid, but I was not. So, but weirdly, I actually had a very unsupervised and unlimited internet access. I'm glad that I've not ended up in that part of the internet, but considering how internet was not that developed back then, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it was as weird as it's now. But yeah, anyway, so that happened, but I was not introduced to books in my home. But we did have library visits in my school, so we used to go to a library every single week, and I would go there and I was to read only color books. If they didn't have any pictures in those books, I would not touch them, I would not read. Looking back, it's kind of weird, but yeah, I used to read only picture books back then, and I used to not touch a book which had loads of words. Very weird. And then I entered sixth grade, and I'm a teenager. I've got this realization that I'm a teenager right now. I'm supposed to be cool. And what would what is the personality of any cool teenager? It's to be moody, it's to be edgy, and it's to be depressed. Yes, that was my idea of a teenager that I found on my YouTube shows that I used to watch. So, the first thing of becoming a cool teenager is to not sit with people in a library. No, I would just go alone, sit beside this window, and I tried to do this once. And where the sun would fall, the sun rays would fall on me, and the breeze would hit my hair. Yeah, cool. So I sat there and I picked up the book that was before me, and I read one page and the time was done, and we had to return those books because sixth graders do not know responsibility, and we were not allowed to take books back home in sixth grade. So I gave it back, and the book is called The Diary of a Young Girl. My best friend actually read loads of books by sixth grade, and she knew a lot of stuff. She comes from a literature first family. So I went up to her and I was like, hey, I was reading this book, The Diary of a Young Girl. Do you know anything about it? And she was like, oh, yes, it's about this Jew girl and how she was hiding in an attic, and it's about Holocaust. And see, that part of my curriculum and that part of history was not introduced to me in sixth grade. So I did not know anything about Jews, about anybody. So when she was like Jews, I was like, Juic, Jews. People will got killed for liking Jews. I was that dumb, guys. I was that dumb. So I was talking this to an uncle of mine, and he was like, oh, it's very great that you're interested in literature. I'll get you the book. And he got me the book, and I ended up reading the book without no context. Like, I did have a bit of a context, but then again, I didn't pay much attention to it. So I read it and I was bawling my eyes out. And like any kid with unsupervised internet access, what would I do? I went to YouTube and typed this book's name, and I got a movie. I watched it and I bawled my eyes out. And that was my entry of literature. Banger of an entry. And by sixth grade, I think book reviews were not much of a big thing back in YouTube, or I was not introduced, I don't know. So most of my book reviews and book recommendations came from my classmates, and the most popular ones back then were The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Dog Diaries, and Harry Potter. Yes. So we used to exchange and read those books. Like, the most fun time I've ever had in my entire life was during that time. And later I went to a cram school, and that's a whole different story. And then I bought books based upon my own knowledge. So there's this really good author, children's author called Ruskin Bond, and I bought books from him. And because I genuinely thought it's a children's author, what could go wrong? I read this very beautiful story. He might have other beautiful stories. So in my 8th grade, I was reading books from Ruskin Bond, and one of the book it's called The Room on the Rooftop. I think I still have it somewhere. I read that. I specifically remember it being the protagonist. The protagonist gets involved with his friend's mom. I am like, Uncle, this is a children book. Why did you put that there? And I closed it. I didn't read it. I didn't pick up another book until like 3 years forward, bro, because I was still very like, it was a new world. It was a new thing for me. So quite shocked, I should say. And then COVID happened, and I went back to my roots. I went to my best friend and I was like, hey, listen, I'm trying to get back into books and I'm trying to read Wuthering Heights. I didn't know what Wuthering Heights is about. So yeah, she was like, nah, I'm gonna hook you onto these books, you read them. And she gave me A Thousand Splendid Suns and All the Light We Cannot See. So you guys would have been thinking that she might have learned her lesson, because she already read 2 books without knowing any of the context, and like, she was quite shocked by them. She should be knowing. She should at least search on the internet and see the context of this. The third chime is not the charm for me. Never is the charm for me. I went ahead and read All the Light We Cannot See without any context. Bawled my eyes out. I should have at least see the context for A Thousand Splendid Suns, right? No. I read that book without any context and I bawled my eyes out, and I remember calling my best friend. It's like, did you give me these books to torture me? Back to back of bawling my eyes out. And it was, I think the Thousand Splendid Suns were especially hard for me to take, because I think it was during that time that Taliban was taking over Afghanistan, and yeah, you guys can understand. And then I got into university to a professional degree, and I met a much better place than I started from. But I think because I want to, when I'm in public places and I just want to shut down people, I would just go look at my phone and read digital media, because of the accessibility of digital media, and because how entertaining Wattpad and fanfics were. I think I'm more hooked to reading digital media than books right now, and I think that has to change. And that is also one of the reasons I've started a YouTube channel, to be consistent, to be reading. Although I've come a long way from where I've started, I still do not have this fulfillment, or I still don't have this feeling of accomplishment that I'm a literate. Yeah, I might be educated, I might be having a professional degree, I might be reading a professional degree, but I don't think I would ever become a literate person, because there are so many stuff that's been happening in this world, and it's so hard to keep up. And every day I wake up and I find new stuff and I relearn new things. So I think that's one of the reasons I do not feel I'm literate enough. And to all the Southeast Asian and Asian parents, I understand where they're coming from. I understand why they would want us to place academics first, because they feel like academics would place us and would make us find a footing in the society, but they forget that literature is going to make us survive through the society. So don't ever stop reading, guys, no matter what book you're reading, be it romance, be it fiction, be it romance, be it fantasy, or anything. Just keep on reading, because you're going to learn new stuff, and reading will keep you sane, and there is no earth without art. Support art. And thanks a lot for watching, I guess. Thank you for hearing me rant. Peace out.